welcome to Researcher Revealed. I'm Dr. Rosalind Austin, and this is the podcast where we go beyond just the name in order to find out a little bit more behind the person that's doing research. On this week's episode, we have a very wonderful guest. She's lovely. But she's at the very beginning of her journey into research. So she's actually a physiotherapy student. She hasn't completed her undergraduate degree yet. But she reached out to me and wanted to share about a recent internship that she did and how that has really sparked a flame in her about research. So I said, of course, come on down. Let's have a chat. And what you're about to hear is the result of that conversation. Welcome to Researcher Revealed. I'm Dr. Rosalind Austin, and on this week we have a very different guest in that she's, well, I'm not going to steal her thunder. Amelia, why don't you introduce everybody to yourself, who you are, what you do, and like where you're at in life.
Hi, I'm Amelia Sulch and I am an undergraduate physiotherapy student. I'm in my final year, so hoping to start working in the NHS next year. And I am massively interested in research, and I did an internship over the previous summer, and I'm very much looking to a career in research. That's kind of what brought me on the podcast today.
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear about like so many things, like how you got into your internship. But if I start thinking about that now, I will get distracted and we won't do the researcher rapid 11. So are you ready?
Yes.
Are you a computers or Mac user?
Computers.
Do you drink tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm a bit biased. Tea is better. I'm trying to get more tea drinkers.
To be fair, I'm not overly obsessed with either. I prefer hot chocolate, but I'd choose coffee over tea.
Nice. Fair enough. When you're working, so like whether it's an assignment or, you know, a paper or whatever, do you prefer to have silence or music?
I like rain sounds. So I have
What do you
my
mean
headphones.
rain sounds?
So like there's a playlist on like my music like platform, and it's just like the sound of like rain falling, and I have that on in my headphones, and that just kind of keeps me focused. I find that like silence is almost distracting, and then music is definitely distracting. I would just start singing along. So yeah, rain sounds.
Interesting. I like it. Very cool. What time of day would you say you're most productive? So not like the exact hour, but like morning, middle of the night, afternoon.
I really desperately want to be a morning person, but I'm not, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd say like late afternoon, like 4, 5-ish is when I'm most productive.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. It's just like that's the cutest thing I've ever heard. I desperately want to be a morning person. I desperately want to be somebody who can sleep in all day, but unfortunately. Oh, where do you tend to do your schoolwork? At home or like in a public space? Where do you work?
I literally can't work at home. Like I mean, if I really need to get things done and I want to cut out the travel time, occasionally I'll work at home, but I much prefer working on my university campus in like study spaces and things like that.
Okay, nice, fair enough. So the next two questions might be a bit tricky, but we're going to go with them anyway. Just because you're at such an early stage, but also because you did an internship this summer, you might be able to answer them. So, do you have a favorite referencing management system? So not like Harvard or Vancouver, but like the way you manage all of your references when you're writing up your papers.
Yeah, I used EndNote over the summer of my internship, and we also are working on a scoping review, and I used EndNote kind of like format all the references and take them off the
Yeah.
like the data, like the search databases, and then put them into Rayan to actually sort of do our title and abstract screening, which I found really useful.
Nice, very cool. So EndNote is definitely the most popular.
Yeah, it's great. It's really nice, easy to use.
It is. It's improved over the years. What about, have you, like, whether it was for your internship or even like thinking about papers that you might have done for your university courses, when it comes to like creating a graph or a figure or anything like that, what sort of program do you like to use in order to make that data come to life?
To be fair, I've done very little with like quantitative analysis and things like that. So I wouldn't say I overly know at this stage in terms of like coding softwares and things like that. I've not really done anything with that to like manage big data sets.
You got time.
If that makes sense. Yeah, but that I'd really love to work on that going forward. At the minute, all my projects are like qualitative, so.
Well, so you can do like data visualization with qualitative research as well.
Yeah,
so
very true.
Things like mind maps or word clouds, like there's lots that you can do to bring like infographics, stuff like that. Anything like that is technically classed as data visualization.
In terms of like infographics and things like that, I really like Canva in terms of like if I'm trying to make something like visually accessible and appealing, I feel like that's very much a strength of Canva, like to do that. So
that one's quite popular as well. Right, on to more important questions. When you're sitting at your desk working away, what is your favorite snack?
Oh, party rings.
What?
Party rings. You know the like
rings.
iced biscuits. Yeah. Love a party ring.
I heard. I was
like yeah, literally love a party ring. I feel like a couple months ago I kind of rediscovered them from my childhood. They probably didn't go anywhere, but they dropped off my radar. And yeah, ever since it's been like numerous packs a week, probably too many.
I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge. I always say that the desk snacks are needed because like when you're working, your brain actually is working really hard and your brain is actually a really, really hungry organ. So that's why like it's a requirement. But I think that's also just an excuse.
Yeah. I'm going to use that going forward.
Right. When it comes to planning, so whether that's like a bit of group work that you were doing or like, that scoping review you were working on in your internship or just like your own like final paper for your university studies, when you try and plan that out, are you a digital planner or are you a pen and paper planner?
Do you know what? I really like mix between the two.
Okay.
If I'm kind of brainstorming, pen and paper, definitely.
Okay.
If I'm sort of making like a list of tasks or like a Gantt chart, love a Gantt chart online. But then when I sit down, like on my internship every day when I got in, I would sit down and write my tasks for the day, and that would be pen and paper. So yeah, a good mix.
Okay, nice. What book are you currently reading?
Oh, I'm currently reading The Hate You Give.
Oh.
Yeah, but I've only just started it. So
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I am really enjoying it so far. Yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting. Oh, who is it by? I should know who it's by, and I definitely have known that information, but mine's gone blank.
If you could, when we're done recording this, just put down like the title and the author and send it to me so that I make sure, like, because in the episode description, I kind of put that sort of information in there just in case somebody's inspired by it.
Yeah.
They can then check it out. So if you can send that to me, that would be great.
I think it's going to be sort of very like eye-opening about quite like serious topics. So yeah, but it's been highly recommended.
Very cool. It's definitely going to go on my list. Right. Last question is, who is a researcher that you admire?
I'm gonna have to go with my supervisor, who is my supervisor on my internship. He's supervising my dissertation. He's called Dr. James Gavin, and he's been such an amazing supervisor in that respect. And also, I really obviously enjoy the projects we're working on together. I've really enjoyed reading some of his previous research and the sort of work he does around long-term conditions. So, yeah,
Nice. No,
little
he's
shout.
amazing. He's amazing. Very cool. Right. So that's the Rapid 11 done. Told you it wouldn't be that hard. Um, so in introducing yourself, you're a physio student.
Yes.
So you haven't even yet started to practice professionally. Like you've probably done some placements and stuff in
Yeah.
hospital. So what was it that has drawn you so strongly to research?
I feel like when I first got to university, I was not interested in research. I kind of just viewed research as like the science practicals I'd done at school, where you're kind of trying to prove things that you already know exist. Do you know what I mean? Like, and just you're trying to get a certain result, and
Yeah.
the liquid wouldn't go the right color or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, then just sort of throughout first couple of years, like reading papers, I just found it so interesting. I've always enjoyed like learning new things, gaining new knowledge, reading things like that. And then throughout like second year, I feel like that was where it really ramped up because we had our research methods module, and a doctor from the Isle of Wight came in and spoke about a project he'd done, sort of researching and presenting data on like pediatric services and like what resources they didn't have, and provided the evidence for why they needed those resources, and was able to make like real impactful change. And that just kind of, I don't know, that just like lit something in me that really inspired me. And then the opportunity came up to apply for the internship that I did over the summer, and because I'd been looking.
So slow down, slow down.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
No, it's fine. So, literally, then for you, the inspiration to go on and do the internship, which I want to dive into, so don't worry, I'm not going to not like, we're going to definitely go there, was like, for lack of a better word, a lecture where this person from Isle of Wight, now, were they a medical doctor or were they also a physio?
They were a medical doctor, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that was like the key turning point. Like there was obviously things in between, like carried on with that research methods module, and I was writing a protocol for like a dissertation project and things like that. But that was kind of the turning point where I was like, oh, this is
Cool. So, would you say, like, just thinking about like everybody else in your class, your cohort, do you think other people were similarly inspired, or do you think it was more just like a really personal thing, or is everybody in your class being like, when I grow up, I want to be a researcher?
Um, I think it really varies. Like,
Okay.
among my friends, like my sort of friendship group on the course, I'm not sure many of them are particularly interested in research at this stage. I wouldn't say it's something that I've heard from my cohort, like lots of people saying, you know, oh, I really want to sort of go on and do this. But I definitely think there are people there that are sort of interested in it. I know I sort of put a message in my like friendship group and said, is anyone considering any sort of like non-clinical options and routes? And sort of one of my like 10-person group chat was. So, but then, you know, that might be a biased sample.
So, like the reason I ask is just out of curiosity, because in a lot of like higher level conversations, um, there's a lot of talk about, in order to, so not just in the UK, but in other places in the world, there's a real desire to increase the number of non-medical doctors or physicians who do research and who
Yeah.
lead research. And one of the strategies that keeps getting talked about is to introduce it in people's early education. And so that's why I wanted to like pick at that a little bit,
Yeah, of
is to
course.
see, is just hearing somebody talk about the research that they do enough to light the spark? Or do you actually think that there's something just in who you are that it was an easy candle to light? It wasn't like you were trying to light a match in the rain. It was, you had petrol. So like when he came and gave that talk, you were already sort of bought in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think potentially that's the case in terms of, I think one thing that I feel is very common within physiotherapy and on my course is sort of like a real enjoyment and love for the practical side of things, which is obviously so important. And I
Yeah.
definitely have that. And, that's sort of one of the reasons why I applied. But I think what I've kind of come to realize is that the thing I love most
Hmm.
is like thinking and reading and
Okay.
writing, and like actually, as much as I absolutely love like clinical work, getting hands-on with patients, I love clinical reasoning because that kind of comes into that. I actually really enjoy being sat at a desk thinking and working on things and like being creative and
Yeah.
things like that.
Well, so the good news is that the clinical academic pathway is continuing and is still being worked on. So fingers crossed, maybe you'll get to do a bit of both as your career progresses. So pulling back a little bit, um, so you had this inspiring talk, and then you jumped straight to the internship. Now, how did you like? We'll talk about the internship, but how did you even find out about this internship?
So the university that I'm at did does a summer internship program across like lots of different departments, not just health. And I'd been looking for, because of sort of the interest in research that I was developing, I'd been looking for internships for a few weeks at that point. Like I'd sort of done lots of searches for like allied health professions, research internships, and things like that. Um, and it actually went up on one of our like online learning sites. Um, Dr. James Gavin, my supervisor, he put it up and said, I'm running this internship this summer. I was actually in our pub at a social, and I was literally like to all my friends, was like, oh my gosh, the perfect internship has come up. It's in an area that I'm so interested in. Like literally went outside to ring my mom, tell her. So yeah, I just, as soon as I saw this on the online learning site, I was like, I want to do that really badly.
That's amazing. So, because this is going worldwide, just for people who are outside of the UK, what is a summer internship?
So the program at this university, so it's kind of 10 weeks working with a supervisor on kind of project that's like advertised when the internship role is posted.
Yeah.
And you sort of get involved with the research. There was sort of support from the university as well. So there was kind of an opening lunch where all the interns got to meet each other, a midway talk, and then a final presentation where we all got to present our posters and the work we'd done over the summer. So yeah, that was kind of what the internship
And is it
process
just a
was.
matter of like putting your hand up and being like, I want to do it, or do you have to fill out an application? Like, what's the process? Like, were you the only one who applied, or was it competitive?
Yeah, so it was a application process.
Hmm.
So I think it was kind of fairly standard application process. So it was like a CV and answering some questions about sort of your motivations, um, and what you bring to the role and things like that. And then after that there was shortlisting.
Okay.
I had
So
an
sort of like a job application.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So there was shortlisting, and then I had the interview, and
Then you were successful.
yeah, but
Very
I'm
cool.
not sure how many were at each stage of that.
That it's more just to like help draw a picture. So it's basically a summer internship or job, and you're going to be working with James Gavin on this project. So without going into what you did, because likely what you're going to do, you're probably going to publish. Are you hoping to publish?
Yeah, we're hoping to publish a.
Can you tell us just a little bit about like what the project was about, and as a undergraduate student intern, what did you get asked to contribute to that project?
So the project was about like maintenance of physical activity behaviors
Okay.
in people with long-term conditions. And it's kind of based in community exercise hubs around the city, to sort of look at what people using those hubs are getting from those that helps them maintain it, like physical activity
Yeah,
behaviors.
yeah, yeah.
What more might they want? And then also a review of other community-based exercise programs and how they can, again, teach people and share with people sort of habits and behavioral things that can really help people to embed physical activity behavior in their everyday lives,
Okay.
so that that's sort of like a more consistent thing.
Yeah.
In terms of my contributions, again, this is another reason why I really appreciate James and his role as my supervisor, because I felt like I really was valued and given kind of responsibility. So I did for the scoping review, I did the search, like me and him and a wonderful research librarian at the library. Shout out to Paula.
Aren't they amazing?
Oh my gosh, like
I know.
I would, oh my goodness, I was this close to throwing my computer out of the window. Like if, and then I'm messaging Paula on Teams like, Paula, help me. So yeah.
Oh, you were
But
working with Paula? Oh, she's
yes.
amazing. I worked with her on my PhD.
Mhm.
She's so fabulous.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So I really enjoyed doing the searches, but there was a couple of times where it was coming up with syntax error and I was like,
But
Paula,
that's the thing. And like um I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't really start to understand until you start doing research, is actually like everybody, so many people in the world now are more familiar with a Google search, and now increasingly people are starting to understand how to do more like intensive prompts with like AI platforms. But actually doing a regimented, systematic literature review where you have to do it across different platforms, and all of those different platforms require different rules and regulations.
yeah,
It's like, what?
yeah, exactly. Like the fact that like I remember being so confused why something wasn't working, and it was because like the near command had to be written as N rather than ADJ, like adjacent, like on the other one I'd been using. And I was just like, and again, this is why I needed Paula. She was wonderful. So yeah, so I did all the searches, and then obviously I'm one of the like two people that did the title and abstract screening. In terms of like interviews, a lot of the sort of ethics process was done by the time I got there, but I kind of got familiar with all of those documents and like proofread all of those. And then I was involved in kind of going out to the exercise hubs, like recruiting people for pilot interviews. I was like present for all the pilot interviews, got to contribute a lot of ideas, which was really nice. I really felt like my ideas were kind of taken on board just on various things. So yeah, I felt like quite involved. It was really nice.
sounds amazing. It sounds like it was like especially like seeing as you'd already kind of caught the research bug, a really good chance for you to verify your desire to do research. And
Yeah,
like, I mean, by verify, I mean more than just, yeah, I want to do it. I mean, like, actually, like, get your teeth into it, like,
yeah,
understand what sometimes, like, how frustrating doing a lit search can be, let alone like the work involved around screening. Like, how many can you say, if you can't, like, just rough numbers, how many search returns your review came back with?
several thousand. Oh my goodness. And I was so excited to start title and abstract screening. I was so excited. And by the end, I was just like, my brain doesn't work anymore. Like, I can't, I never want to title and abstract screen anything ever again. But now that I've had a bit of like a few weeks to recover, I'm ready to title and abstract screen more if needed.
It's so funny. It's one of those things like I can remember like the first one I did, I was like you, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And now like I don't even want to think about how many lit reviews I've done. And I'm like writing a protocol for another one. I'm like, why do I keep doing this to
Yeah.
myself?
I think as well, like we had quite a lot of steps to um our kind of
Search strategy?
criteria.
Yep.
Yes, to the strategy, but also to the criteria, like the inclusion and exclusion
Oh,
criteria.
okay. Your
There was quite a
eligibility
lot of
criteria.
things that
Yep.
it had to meet. So it very much was a case of like properly reading the abstracts for each and like trying to like pick things out. And yeah, it took a while, but yeah.
So you worked on the lit review, but you also got to help be a part of the piloting of the interviews that are planned for this study. Um, and then I'm guessing by that point, your summer was over?
Yes, but I'm still involved in both parts because I'm still
Yeah.
involved in the scoping review and sort of doing that. And then the interviews are my dissertation project for my third year. So
Ah,
that's been really fab because kind of we I mentioned earlier that I did a protocol for a dissertation project. Obviously, that was completely different to the dissertation project I've ended
yeah,
up doing. But
yeah,
I kind of literally day one on the internship, um, James was like, "Oh, well, you could always do a continuation of this for your dissertation project." And I thought that'd be a really nice way to have sort of continuity,
yeah.
rather than being able to carry on with everything. So yeah, so still working on the interviews, and
Okay.
so yeah, still involved.
Wow. So I think that's a really important point just to make sure that everybody who's listening gets there. So you took on this internship with the hope of it just being something interesting to do over the summer to confirm or not confirm your desire to
Yeah,
direct your career towards some degree of research. But actually, those connections you made and that relationship you built, you were then able to convert so that your final dissertation project is and I'm not saying this disparaging, like it's connected to a real research project. It's not just like you said, you said when you were younger, you used to think of research of, oh, we already know the answer, but we're going to just go through the motions. So like reaffirming stuff. And sometimes within undergrad work, a lot of the dissertations are because they need to be, because you've got so little time, they tend to be quite small, quite discrete projects, and it can be a bit of already reaffirming what we already know. But for your project, because of your internship, you're actually going to be able to be writing up just the development of the pilot like the piloting of the interview schedule, or are you actually going to get to include some of the real, like not real because the pilot interviews, like but you know what I mean, like the actual interviews? Is it just the piloting scheme or the actual
The
interviews?
actual interviews, yeah. So we've sort of already we're partway through data collection. So yeah, so my dissertation will actually be kind of writing up those interviews, which yeah, very, very excited for. I mean, I've already started working on it. So yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah, no, I've been
so
really
cool,
lucky.
Amelia.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So you've collected the data. So you had to learn all about the ethics. You've piloted the interviews schedule. And then I'm guessing, like, did you help do the data collection for the interviews, or you did that as well? Oh my goodness, you're like a
Yeah.
full-fledged researcher, girl.
So I've been present at all the, actually not all, most of the interviews, kind of taking notes, um, helping all of that, like assisting. Yeah, there's been a couple I haven't been. James always reminds me, you've got to focus on your university work. If you have a lecture, you don't have to be there. So yeah, he's very
That
nice in
was
that
going to be my
respect.
next question. Is like, how are you managing to balance everything? Because to me, it sounds like you're doing, like, basically you're acting as like a junior research assistant on this project, but you're still going to uni. So how are you balancing all of this? You little
Um,
superstar.
I guess I've been sort of very organized this term. Had very like the Google Calendar has been working hard this term. But yeah, I think it's just literally all stuff that I love. Like my university work so far this year, I've literally loved all of it. Like it's all been quite research based, which has been
Okay.
wonderful. Um, so yeah, I think that helps a lot in sort of finding time and the motivation because it's all just stuff that I really enjoy
Okay.
being a part of. So yeah, a lot of careful planning and a lot of enthusiasm, I guess.
That's brilliant. I mean, James must just be over the moon that, like, the stars aligned and you came into his path, because it sounds like it's been a mutually beneficial experience, this research internship with this
I
project,
hope so.
because he's getting the additional help that you're offering, but you're getting to learn in that experience. And I mean, potentially the way you're going, you're going to have at least two publications.
I think the aim is to publish as one
Okay.
combined
Okay.
paper. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, but he sent me a picture of the like the manuscript so far, and my name was second on it, and I was like, oh, that's me. I was so excited.
Amazing. Oh
And I know
my
that
goodness.
kind of everybody you've had on will have like a million or one, but for me that was such an exciting moment.
No, 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 no. So it doesn't matter whether it's your first paper or your 500th paper. I think when you have this, what I can hear in your voice anyway, this deep seated passion for research, you still get excited about it, because like that publication represents so much work, energy,
Mm-hmm.
effort, and it's like finally it gets out into the world for other people to see and read and learn from. And that's where you start to be able to drive impact and drive change, which is ultimately what research is about. And it goes back to, I think, what you said in the beginning. You're like, I like the patient contact, but there's something about research. And I wonder whether or not that thing about research is your ability maybe to already start to understand that actually doing research will change the practice of many more professionals. And so actually it's a way of amplifying your impact to more patients without having to see millions of them. Or
Yeah.
is it something else? What do you think it is there is that real attraction for you for research, other than the fact that it's fun and intellectual and creative?
Yeah, I think definitely the chance to have an impact is so important. I think that's something that I think is really common among all like the people that I know that are on my course. I live with people who are on other healthcare courses, things like that. I feel like you go onto a healthcare course because you want to help people. And so I think we all have sort of ideas about how we want to do that in different ways. And yeah, I definitely think research. I love one thing I really love within research, love reading papers about it. And I'd love to sort of be involved in research to do with it in the future, is looking at sort of addressing health inequity and looking at how like qualitative methods and creative qualitative methods to sort of engage like underrepresented groups sort of within research, and how to, you know, hear their perspectives as well. Equality, diversity and belonging is like massively important sort of set of principles for me. It's that I live by it, professional and personal. I'm on the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy's EDB committee. I've just been appointed. So I'd really like to sort of bring that into my research as well. So that's something that's very important to me.
That's incredible. Was there any points, because you said there was things that you said, were there points within this project that you were able to bring that side of you into this research that you've been doing over the summer with James? Or
yeah,
was it
definitely.
already like so, or did it already have it in it?
I think, to be fair, I mean, James already had sort of like the direction that was going to be sort of like public and patient involvement within the study, and that's sort of really important principle across all research now. But I really sort of valued the opportunity to learn about that and about methods and ways of engaging people in research, and sort of also I've done a lot of work to do with the person-based approach and how that can help sort of again engage users in like intervention, like service users in intervention development and things like that as well. So I'd say potentially it was more learning than like obviously I contributed ideas and things like that, but I think it was already kind of set up to be involved, and there was a lot of learning about how I can mix the two. And I also sort of there was a showcase of different research going on in the department in the time that I was there, which was like the most inspiring day ever. But again, I got to hear about some really cool projects that had like creative methods. So there was one person who presented their research, and they were using like Lego workshops for people to like represent their stories. Lego, and that I thought that was really cool.
That's very cool. Trying to see if I can find it. So there's no, I'll have to look it up and find it. Oh yeah, here it is. It's reaching for one of my books.
Yeah, see, that looks right up my street.
You need to, so she's on social media quite a bit, and she does, I think she even has a YouTube channel. When I was doing my PhD, the university actually had her come and give a seminar. Helen Cara.
Fantastic.
She does loads of creative research methods and like teaches courses about how to do it and how to like write the ethics around it and all that sort of stuff. So if you're into that sort of thing, you definitely need to check her out.
Perfect. Oh, I will do. I'll definitely take that recommendation.
So very, very quickly, before we start talking about the future, what was the thing, like thinking back over the summer, what was the thing that surprised you the most about the internship?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like it met and exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
Just I don't think there was anything kind of in terms of task wise and what I was doing that was kind of a big surprise, potentially getting involved with the review side of things that I wasn't necessarily expecting as much, but really, really loved and valued having the opportunity to do that. And then having one thing that was really nice was having the opportunity to get involved with research groups, which again I didn't necessarily know would happen or expect to happen. And I'm still involved in those research groups now. Because I said, please, can I still come, even though I'm not working here anymore? So that was kind of a nice, very pleasant surprise as well. So yeah, just
nice.
The level of opportunity that it opened was a very welcome.
I think that's exactly why I wanted to ask you that question. Is I think a lot of people's perceptions about what research is and what a physiotherapist does within research, I think is very different than the reality. And I think exactly like you've just described, you're like, there was a lit review, there's a research group, they're all my new best friends, I'm still hanging out with them. Like, I think that's really important to share that message with people, because I think a lot of people believe that. And like even the fact that you were going out into the communities in order to visit these sites, people think that research is staring at a screen, moving numbers around in an Excel spreadsheet, but it's so much more than that.
I was just about to mention that, like, I was kind of like the opportunity to go into the community as well and kind of meet so many different people. Like, I mean, there's literally nothing. It's probably like a great idea for me to come on a podcast because there's nothing I love more than just talking to people. So this has worked out well. But yeah, like meeting so many people like at the university, in different research groups, meeting people in the community, people that work in the community, like I loved that. That was great. Very welcome.
So I'm gonna ask you another tough question here, and then we'll move on to the future because that's funner and a bit easier. So you said at the beginning that you feel that a lot of people in your class, your group, are doing physio because they crave that patient to that personal interaction. After your summer hanging out with the researchers, do you now think that actually when you're talking to those friends, those classmates, those colleagues, that they're now starting to be like, oh, actually, you're seeing more people getting different interactions at various different levels that I didn't get when I worked at blah, blah, blah clinic in my summer internship? Do you think that might help to change people's perception around research? Has it changed your perception around research?
I definitely think it has. I think the fact that, like, because I think it's very, like, a lot of people want to be kind of practical, I guess. So those things about going out into the community and getting involved and engaged that way, I think would definitely, potentially attract some more people. I don't know necessarily from my own experiences and conversations with friends. Like, I'm not sure we've really kind of discussed that side of things. But yeah, I definitely think if people had the internship experience that I had, then as you say, that moving away from that view of it being like in a science lab at school or sat at a desk might kind of help to.
Do you think your perspective on research has changed?
I think I love it more and I'm even more excited about it. I think it's definitely changed throughout university. I think going into the internship, I knew the passion was really starting to like ramp up. Like, I was really excited to do the internship and I kind of knew that I was really going to enjoy it, I guess. I guess kind of like the different stages of it and doing the review and kind of, working with like a research librarian and things like that kind of just opened my eyes a bit to like, just the day-to-day workings, I guess. But I wouldn't say it was too dissimilar to kind of what I was
Okay.
aspect I'm maybe thinking about.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Cool. Right. So the future. You are just starting your last year, or you're going to
Yeah,
finish the year, or you like how many more months do you have before you're done?
I finish in, well, I finished the degree in like right at the end of May.
Okay. So
And
you're all but
then
done. You've got
yeah,
like 5, 6 months.
yeah. But there's a
Okay.
lot to happen in those 5, 6 months. 12 weeks of placement, a dissertation, it's gonna get written at some point.
You got a mad Google Calendar. You'll be grand.
Yeah. The Google Calendar against the world.
Exactly. Um, so just throwing your head forward,
Mhm.
what's next? What are you hoping to do after like I mean obviously graduate, get
Mhm.
done. What's next for Amelia?
Okay, fingers crossed.
Mm,
Band 5 rotational job.
okay.
If I can get one, that'd be lovely.
Yep.
So yeah, that was what I'd really like to do. Kind of first, I want to work like go around different clinical areas because I'm interested in literally everything, all of it. So kind of narrowing that down a bit might be useful. So kind of yeah,
Okay.
going around different clinical areas, seeing what sticks, what I really enjoy. And I feel like that might also help to know kind of again what I might want to end up researching as well.
Okay.
Because again, interested in everything. And then I think at that point it'll be time to make a decision on whether I want to solely go down the researcher academic route. That is definitely one option. And if I take that option, I would be really interested in doing a master's in public health.
Hmm.
I'm really interested in kind of the public health side of things. So yeah, so there's that, or whether I want to do kind of split clinical academic roles. And then I know there are some really great like pathways in the NHS and teaching hospitals and things like that to
Yeah.
get involved in those split routes. So yes, kind of doing those 2 years and deciding, okay, do I want to go for my band 6 and clinical academic, start
Yeah.
that, or do I want to just research and maybe teach and go down that side of things?
Okay. So big decisions, but you've got loads of time. Do you think that during those 2 years of rotation position, because let's just think positively, you're gonna get a band 5, it's gonna be grand, you're gonna whatever. In that rotational post, do you think you will try to maintain those connections that you've built with this research team? Do you think like let's say, for example, instead of getting a job at Southampton Hospital as a band 5 rotational, you get a job in the community somewhere. So you're not as connected to Southampton Hospital and university as much anymore. Do you think that you'd look for opportunities to start to embed research even within those rotational roles?
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of like a really big priority for me. In terms of like, I'm very happy to do sort of like work anywhere. I'm sort of flexible in terms of like where I can move. Like, I don't have like family or anything. Well, I have family, but I don't have like children and things like
Yeah,
that
you're
that I
not a
don't want to
mother
move
yet.
around. I can move wherever.
Yeah.
So I kind of already know that I want to prioritize where's going to be best for keeping involved with the research. So,
Okay.
like, first priority is staying here. I mean, I love it anyway. It's kind of been home for the past couple of years, but because I have those connections
Yeah.
at the university I'm
Yeah.
at, like, I also know that some of the graduates from here have come back and done some teaching bits and come in and support with sessions and things like that, which I would also love to do. So yes, that's kind of like priority number one, and it's definitely something I'm thinking about. And then if not, again, just being in a place that has research institutions or universities within the general sphere and reaching out to people there. And also, the the doctor right from the beginning that we were talking about that ran the project on the Isle of Wight, also spotting potential opportunities for where research might be valuable in clinical practice. Like if any opportunities pop up to do that or get involved with anything that's already going on, again, there I will be, hopefully.
Very nice. I like it. Do you think that this research internship that you've now had, even if so, because you're at the very beginning of your professional career as a physiotherapist. And so for all you know, you could get that band 5 rotational job and you could get 6 months into it and you are working on a given ward and you're like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, switch back to being that more practically minded, hands-on clinician. And there's nothing wrong with that. But do you think that the skills that you've gained around like the lit review you've helped with, around the interviews, around this knowledge generation work that you've been doing this research project, do you think that that has changed the physiotherapist of the future in you?
Yeah, I think one like really important thing, and it kind of still is like research linked, but obviously evidence-based practice is like absolutely essential. And my ability to read and get more out of what I'm reading, having this like more knowledge of how kind of research processes work, it means that I'm able to kind of, I feel like, be more effective in my reading and therefore in informing my clinical practice. So I think that's like one kind of key way. And I think every time I have conversations and interact with different people, that's always just developing my conversation skills as well. I think again, like it helps to with like different styles of writing. Like I had to present a poster, and it's all developing your ability to communicate in varied ways, which is also so important in clinical practice. So I think definitely there are a lot of kind of transferable skills. And I think definitely will make me a better, more well-informed clinician as well, hopefully.
So you're preaching to the choir, because I couldn't agree more with you. I think there's so many lessons that are embedded into research, and I think it's really interesting how more and more universities are starting to embed more like methods course, some theory courses, things like that, and like encouraging undergraduate students to do some level of project in a dissertation, like having to write protocols, that sort of stuff. I think that's really important, because I think unless you really understand what creates the evidence base and you have an idea of what is in the evidence base, you can go around and tell everybody you're doing evidence-based practice till you're blue in your face, but are you?
Yeah,
Is that even possible?
I definitely think I used to be like, how do I, because we started out, and I still use them in my work and things like that. I think they're wonderful, but we started out using kind of like CASP tools to, get familiar. And I'm like, I cannot just CASP everything I read. That's all I'll do with my life. I won't have any social life. So do you know what I mean? Like getting more immersed in research has definitely helped me to read more like efficiently and effectively. Which
But it's not just the reading efficiently, it's also that recognition around, is what I'm reading valuable? Was it performed robustly?
Yeah.
It's all of those questions that I don't think necessarily every clinician asks.
Mm-hmm. I think we're really lucky in that I think like from my experience, and obviously I'm at a very like our course is very high in the rankings, so I'm
Yeah.
very lucky from that perspective. I don't know if it's everyone's experience, but our course is really effective with that. We've been
Hmm.
encouraged so much to ask those questions of what we're reading. That's kind of been, I would say, if that was one thing to take away from this term that I'm coming to the end of, it would be that like I feel like a lot of the content and a lot of the assessments are geared towards getting us to question what we read and not just to take things at face value. So I think from that perspective, we've been very lucky to get a wonderful education here.
I'm so excited that we've had this conversation in this point in time. And I think it'll be absolutely fascinating, fast forward 3 years from now, for us to have the same conversation.
I'll put it in my diary. 2028
Yeah, yeah,
December.
yeah, let's do it. Because I think like university is such a especially the university that you're at. It's such a good place to start to develop like that inquiring critical mind.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be really interesting come 2, 3 years down the road what your thoughts have changed and altered after interacting with a much more diverse group
Yeah.
of individuals. So you'll have people who've been educated back when dinosaurs roamed the earth through to people like yourself who've only just finished, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like you're in such an exciting time, but it sounds like you've been very fortunate and you've had like an amazing foundation, and it's like definitely lit this fire in you for research, which personally I love to see. So yeah, let's make a date. Let's do a revisit in a couple more years and we can see whether or not the flames burning even brighter and you're already like halfway through a PhD.
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, very interested. I did mention that when we talked about the future. Very interested in the PhD.
Oh, too funny. Um, so before we wrap up,
Mhm.
uh, because I'm all powerful, um, not at all. But in this moment in time, I'm going to make you queen for a day and you're in charge. What would you change to your undergraduate physiotherapy program to help more people have that introduction, that deeper introduction into research that you had? Or do you think that actually it should be down to the individual to chase it?
I I feel like, and again, I don't know if this is the case for everywhere. So if my queendom expands to like other unis as well, that would be great. But I actually feel like our program has been wonderful for that. And even sort of we were saying earlier about how some dissertation projects like aren't involved in kind of real world research. All of ours are like we got all our projects are pitched by our professors and by our lecturers um, to be a part of research that they're currently working on. So it is like I feel like that is in itself wonderful, wonderful like opportunity that we've all had. Um, and we're introduced to research in our second year. We've had a lot this time about how to read research. We're all doing our own projects. So actually, kind of, if I was queen for a day, which I would love, I think about this uni. Like I wouldn't really change much, but if
Wow.
this isn't happening at other unis, take note from this one, I guess. And I'd also just tell everyone that they have to wear pink for the day.
Yeah, what?
They have to wear pink for the day if I was queen for a day. That
Love
would
it.
be.
Love it. Brilliant. Oh, that's such high praise for the university that you're at. That's incredible that you
Yeah,
you had that experience. That's absolutely brilliant and beautiful.
I loved it so much. Yeah, and I've loved my cohort as well. They're also wonderful. So a shout out to them too.
Nice. Very cool. Last question. Um, so like we've said, you've got those very bright fire burning in you at the minute for research. You're about to leave university and enter the world of clinical environments,
Mhm.
and you've been in them in placements and things before. But what do you think from your experience so far in placements? Do you think that NHS hospitals are similar that or where you've been doing your placements um, are similarly as amazing at helping their staff do research, or do you think actually in order to keep this fire going in you, do you think that there needs to be changes that happen within those clinical settings?
Um, I think from the placements I've been on, um, it's actually it's maybe not necessarily because of the specific settings, more so the way that we're assessed on placement. But the placement form, I feel very much they have sections on evidence-based practice and things like that. And so that's kind of a great way that on all my placements, I've been encouraged to get engaged again in the literature
Okay.
and reading and things like that. Also, I think, again, this is less specific to the setting, but portfolio placements on the rise. So I had a placement in education. So I did a placement at the university, but kind of teaching, getting involved in like theory behind like teaching adult learners and
Yeah.
also a lot of inclusive and accessible like teaching and online teaching methods as well. So I think again those placements are really like useful in terms of in the placement setting. And then I think kind of mainly answer the actual question you asked. I'd need to see more like be in places for longer because
Yeah.
okay, yeah, in the two NHS settings I've been in, I haven't necessarily got involved outside of like reading the literature and applying that to clinical practice, which we should be doing anyway. But I'm only at each place for 6 weeks. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also, those placements happened before that fire was really strong. So maybe I wasn't looking
Ah.
to those opportunities as much. It will be a year since I went on placement when I go on my next placement. And
Okay.
so then it'll be really interesting to see, and I would potentially have a better answer for that after those 12 weeks.
That's fair enough. I recognize like you're at the beginning of your journey. Well, not the exact beginning. You're at the end of your educational journey, but about to start
But
your.
it really does feel like a beginning. It's very exciting.
But that's brilliant. You should be excited. But it was just more like a curiosity whether or not you've picked up any inklings. And it's totally fine that you haven't, because I think you just, like you said, you haven't been out enough to know whether or not there'll be
Yeah.
the
I
support there that
think
you need.
in terms of looking at band five roles, I've tried to see if there are any because what I think would be like really, really cool would be if there were kind of like band five like roles that specifically advertise like research involvement.
Well,
So
so
and I have
that's
seen a couple of examples of vacancies that have closed, but nothing that's kind of come up since I've actually been looking to apply. But
so that was sort of one of the questions that I was wondering, not questions, like rumors that you'd heard, because I've got a couple of friends who are physios and whatnot, and they have worked clinically for a period of time and they've completed their PhD, let's say in the last 3 years. And they talk about how, especially with physio, um, where your first job means that you're rotating. So you'll be in a certain environment for so many weeks and then you'll rotate to another environment. And they talk about how, especially like in big national conversations, they talk about how they would love to see, especially with like the real push to have more clinicians embed research into their clinical careers. They would really like to see one of those rotations be like in research delivery. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe
I would
not
love that.
necessarily like doing what you've done, where you were actually with the research or team instead like working alongside the research delivery team in the hospital to kind of figure out in a clinical setting, how does research happen? How do you
Yeah,
set research
like with
up?
trials and things.
All of that stuff. And then you kind of have the perfect marriage of like, you understand how to create and run a project, but you also know how to implement that project in a clinical setting to then become like the ultimate researcher. But
Yeah.
I think I haven't, I'll keep my ears out, and if I see one, I'll send it your way. But I
Yeah.
don't think I know of anybody who's managed to create that yet.
Yeah, but I think that is definitely something that like I would absolutely love. And it's definitely something I look out for. And there was one Band 5 job, again, it was closed. Like I found the like closed advertisement, but it
Yeah.
was kind of like a regular Band 5 job in orthopedics, but in that department they were running clinical trial, and so there was the opportunity to get involved with that and like be part of the data collection, be part of some of the like assisting with some of the things, and I was like, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I've just looked at the time and it has flown by, Amelia. You have been such a bright spot to speak to today. And like, it's so lovely to see the level of excitement and passion that you have for research at this very early stage in your career. And I wasn't joking. Like, I'd love to hear from you in a couple of years to see how things are going.
Yeah, that would be so great. Do a little where are they now?
Exactly. Exactly. Where are they now? You opened a cafe somewhere, or you're like a travel influencer.
I'm in Barbados.
Exactly. Oh, who wouldn't kill to be there? Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much for joining me on
Thank you
the
so much for having
podcast.
me on.
And I wish you all the best in your career. And if there's ever anything that I can do or anything, just give me a shout out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No worries. For everybody out there who's listening, don't forget, check out the episode description. I'll list the book that Amelia is writing, and I'll also get her to share some links around like the group that she worked with over the summer and things like that, so you can kind of get a bit better of an idea of the work that she's doing. And until then, that's it for now, I think.
Fab. Thank you so much.
Don't go away. Up next, we have the top 3 takeaways from this week's podcast by Dr. Rosalind Austin. I can only imagine the potential of where Amelia's career is going to take her. She's got such a lovely passion about her and a real groundedness around how she's managing to already at a very early stage balance her education and other roles doing this internship that continued past the summer. And I think it was really exciting to hear from her that some of the initiatives that I know have been started because of conversations nationally that we've had here in the UK of introducing research to people within their undergraduate. She's a real testimony of how that worked and how that has encouraged her to take extra steps in order to embed research, not just in her career, but actually in her education to go to have a career. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see how that then transpires for her career in the upcoming years. Right. My top 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1 is enthusiasm and passion will get you far. I think like listening to Amelia talk, like her passion and her enthusiasm like bubbled out of her. And it's so lovely to see that real desire in her to make sure that research is a part of her career. And she's the first one to put her hand up and be like, I don't know how that's going to work because she's, you know, still at university. But this internship experience that she has embedded that real passion, that real curiosity, that real desire to increase her professional impact by doing research that it'll be really interesting to see how that fire, fueled by her own inherent passion and enthusiasm, how far that takes her career as time progresses. Second top takeaway is that despite the fact that her university, it sounds like, is doing amazing things around embedding research into the undergraduate education of these physiotherapists in her cohort, that, she was saying as well, she's like, and it might be too early to tell, but, not everybody in her class was jumping up and doing it. And so I think it's an important thing to really think about. And I think what they're doing is right, because you'll never know how many people you're going to inspire if you don't put it into an educational program. But just because it's there doesn't mean that you're going to end up with 4 people, 5 people, 6 people who become passionate and who actually go on to become researchers. And so I think it's really interesting. Like, there's lots of ways that we can inspire people to do research. And it isn't just about putting it in education. Her curiosity got piqued because of the speakers that came into their class. But it wasn't until she had that hands-on experience with research that it really started to click, that it really started to be something that she wanted to consider as a career pathway. So I think, yes, it's important to put in education as an exposure point, but how can you change that exposure point into some real life experience as well? My third takeaway is that research is, I don't know, I hate the metaphor of an onion, but it's like a kaleidoscope. There's a lot of people look at it from the outside and they see just one thing. But it was so fun to listen to her reflect on her initial journey into research and how, like, things that she wasn't expecting to be interesting or to be exciting or to be frustrating actually be the thing that she really, really loved. Like, I mean, could you ever have so much excitement about, like, doing a literature review? Like, it was such a beautiful thing to witness. But I think it was more than just about the process of a lit review. It was more around, like, understanding the depths and the details and the types and the differences that you can have within research in order to impact and change policy, in order to better define the evidence base. And I think my interpretation anyway is that's what her excitement was, not necessarily about screening thousands of articles, but it was about that journey of discovering that research was different than what it just looked like from the outside, and that by her living it and walking it, she got to actually experience the true beauty of research. So yeah, third top takeaway is that research is a kaleidoscope. You just have to be brave enough to take a look in. Right. That's it for this one. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget, definitely check out the episode description. I'll put in the book that she's listed there. I'm also going to link in some key links to the research group that she was working on, possibly the research project as well, depending on what is available online, just so that you can kind of get a bit of a better idea of the work that she was doing. And fingers crossed, she does get that paper published. And once it does, it will go in there as well. Until next time, keep asking why.